All right, and thanks everybody for tuning into our weekly Wednesday live stream. This week we'll be talking about how it's only 1 week until smAshtember 1st, when we have our official launch of the Smash team. You may have noticed that we've been showing videos for extended periods of time on the Twitch channel. We're showing a currently erupting coronal mass ejection. We have no telemetry on it. We may actually look it up during the video. So lots of stuff to cover. Also a coronal mass ejection warning in place. We've got an angry looking sun. We'll talk about that and a lot more, like some cosmology stuff on today's weekly Wednesday live stream. So leave us a comment if you like. Maybe we'll talk about whatever you're talking about, but we've got a lot of cosmology stories to cover. We may never even get to the regular news. We may not talk about any financials, like about the increases in Bitcoin to back over $50,000 a Bitcoin. We might not say anything about anything like that, or we might. Anyway, I'll be back in about a minute or two. I just want to make sure everything is good to go. Speaking of going, check out this track from Golden Cat Productions. Oh, and by the way, sorry for the loud music this morning. I was a little excited and I had the volume low on the computer. I didn't realize how high it was proportionally speaking. This will be a modest volume. If you want to listen to it at full volume, head to soundclick.com/smAshomash. Not soundclick.com/smAshomash. Soundclick.com/Golden Cat Productions, our record label. Anyway, here's Stacker Do while I check the stream. Because remember, folks, I'm not only smAshomash, but I'm also a client. So just to give you some background into how I got into doing this and why we're coming from the nexus of the galaxy, it's because I figured I better enter a bunker just in case. So I've entered a bunker, the deepest bunker I could find, that one. It's just the core of the Milky Way galaxy. I don't know what the hell this cube is. Some kind of weird alien frame cube or something. I don't know. But it was the best bunker we could find in the deepest well, so I just figured, why not? Might as well do that. Seems like an appropriate place to be considering the current environment, right? Oh, what's that? Civilization's not ending? Yeah, for real. Please leave us a comment if you've heard some doomsayers saying, "We're all gonna die! We're all gonna die!" Make sure you do exactly what I say, or you're doomed. Doomed. Because the sun's very scary. It's going to murder you. Oh, the Undertaker, oh, knows. Not that it can't, folks. I'm not suggesting it can't. It's just kind of unlikely. Shall we say a little bit on the unlikely side, statistically speaking. Anyway, so the way I got into this is because I started studying astronomy when I was about 4 years old. I learned to read at 3, and at 4, I was already reading about things like cosmic rays out of a 1960s edition of Reader's Digest World Atlas. And I realized a long time ago that there was a bit of a sort of a badly understood aspect when it came to astrophysics and cosmology, even back then. And for instance, I was wondering what a cosmic ray was before I went to kindergarten. And I'm not trying to brag, I'm just trying to state the fact that there are a lot of self-made, self-studied people on the internet, and I might not be like one of those people, because some of us really have read all of the... Okay, anyway. So just to continue on, and I realized a long time ago that this particular object you can see here on your screen, perhaps, this quote, yellow dwarf, and quote, known as the sun, is rather malunderstood. I guess that's the best term. Malunderstood. It isn't understood. And it is the basis for all of cosmology. So at least there's some new stuff going on when it comes to that. So let's just shift gears here. So yeah, I've been studying cosmology for, shall we say, a long time. And I had some what you'd call radical theories about what cosmic rays mean, right? So cosmic rays are pretty important in that they seem to maybe be doing things with the climate, perhaps, that are also not well understood. And so just to transition into when I started studying climate formally, that would be in 1987 when I was in 8th grade. So that was when I first started studying it. I haven't stopped studying it since. There's all kinds of stuff that's current undisputed data that does not back up the current sort of what you'd call mainstream narrative. The mainstream narrative on what's going on with climate, for example. It's a little bit dicey, as the data doesn't necessarily back up the theories in most cases. So there are a number of ridiculous premises going on that a lot of people seem to believe, and it's because they don't understand atmospheric physics. I can't come up with a better explanation for it than that. And I'm not just going to do a commercial for the Smash team for the whole video, although I would remind everybody that next week we have the kickoff for our own website, which is smashamash.com/smashteam. Make sure you check out our videos on YouTube if you're watching anyplace else. Although this is currently a YouTube exclusive, we see no reason to upload it anyplace else, but there is a possibility. We are on BitChute as well and on Twitch, twitch.tv/smashamash. And thanks to our 100th subscriber over there, we'll have to do a special Twitch live stream. We've been doing streams that are like 15 hours long with this GOES imagery. And while I'm on that subject, let's display some of that. There is the GOES 16 SUVI in 94 angstroms. So we've got the imagery here with the ion. What is up with that? I don't know why it doesn't switch tabs for me. It's as if it's crashing. Anyway, and it looks like our frame rate is just fine, so we'll just head back here to this animation. By the way, this is really an animation of the core of the Milky Way galaxy, I believe. And what you've got here is every one of these points of light are supermassive blue giant stars, sort of on the order of Deneb, which are orbiting the massive radio source at the center of the galaxy known as Sagittarius A star. So to transition into my sort of background, by the mid-1990s, I was considering getting a bachelor's in stellar cosmology. Now, that wasn't really a major back then. Back then, in the mid-90s, you would have had to make your own major to major in a thing like stellar cosmology. And I don't think it existed at the time as a major. And thanks for leaving comments, those who have. We'll get to those momentarily. And so basically what you would do is you would get an astronomy degree and you would just focus on stellar cosmology throughout your undergraduate studies. At the time, however, and I wasn't willing to spend more than 4 additional years after high school in school, so I considered this and I decided against it and to enter into professional sports instead at about age 21. So that was essentially my exiting science for a couple years. Then eventually I got back into the business world and I became an insurance agent when I started selling insurance in 49 states back in 2002, I believe it was. That was when I realized that I should be paying attention to space weather. So that was when I started heading to spaceweather.com. And let's maybe bring up that website. So spaceweather.com is sort of where I first started watching space weather. And it's a classic space weather site. And you can see they regularly put up GIF animations and so on. And we're not really modeling smashomash.com/smAshTeam after this site. It's completely different. It's more like Patreon, actually. And what we've done is we've emulated all of the features of Patreon and a lot more. So that's the main reason that we're going to phase out Patreon. So it's simply a matter of convenience and superior software and superior capabilities. It's nuts to not have your own domain if you can handle it. Anyway, back in 2002, I started following space weather, not particularly in depth. I sort of knew a little something about sort of the conflicting theories of how a star works. And to sum things up, most of the conflicting theories about how stars work come down to where do the electrons come from. So with respect to standard astronomy, the standard concordance model of stellar evolution has the electrons coming from a different source, let's say. I guess it's from the nuclear fusion dynamo in the core of the star is where the electrons are coming from, essentially. And those are what are feeding the chemical reactions on the surface. Electric universe cosmic models feature the sun as an anode. And by the way, I don't believe that at all. I don't think stars are electric intrinsically. But the problem with the electric universe theory is that they need streams of electrons at their poles, like you would do in a laboratory experiment, to create plasma in a vacuum chamber, which is nothing like a star. Stars have relatively stable magnetic fields in most cases. And so people who bring up the argument that stars are electric because sapphire, that's part of the argument against that. We don't see these streams of electrons at the poles of stars or associated with their fields where we would expect them to be if stars were indeed electric. So, that's the real beef that most rational people have with electric universe nonsense dogma. It's, well, where are all your electrons? Where are all your electrons? Seeing one spiral structure in space does not an electric universe make. Everything is not electric. That styrofoam cup in your hand is not electric. And don't try to make the argument that the reason you don't fall through the floor is because the floor is electric. That's nonsense. Suggesting that electron repulsion being the real reason you are not falling through the floor is an electric process is the reason we have terms in science. So that's my stance on it. Everything's not electric. Some things are sort of disconnected. Not everything is connected, in my opinion. And yes, I am aware of quantum mechanics. I am aware of wave function science. I'm aware of the way the universe can be expressed in waves, and it can be expressed in particles. And when you get to certain scales, it's not as evident. We've got videos about this on the channel. Check our playlists. There's there's a cosmology playlist, there's a terms defined playlist, and check the Diamond Anvil Too Hard to Smash playlist. Those are all good calls. And I'm just letting spaceweather.com scroll here because we don't mind putting a little screen time on the screen there for all of their sponsors. We may find ourselves looking up some of their sponsors ourselves, as we are indeed forecasting coronal mass ejections on the channel on the regs. So it's pretty sweet. And let's switch that galactic core animation. It's pretty low res, and switch to our high res star field here. By the way, that's Cygnus. And it's that brightest star known as Alpha Cygni right there. That's Deneb, the tail of the swan. And my voice, folks, is shattered. And it has to do with so much activity going on with the sun. We've been covering it at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news, and with good reason. So I'm going to play another Golden Cat Productions track at this modest volume again. I apologize for the high volume this morning. This one will be a much more chill track, and the volume is low here. This is called Unified Theory 3. I'm not sure if you can find this, but there are definitely some fresh tracks in the links below the video. So check them out. And we're going to put your chats on the screen while I go on a break here for a minute. And we're going to put the currently unfolding coronal mass ejection on the screen as well. And there you have it. I'll be right back. All right, so we are back. And thanks again for tuning in, folks. Yeah, so we've got only less than a week now, only about 6 days until the website official launch. So you can actually already get a membership there, by the way. And it's smashamash.com/smashteam. Here's our graphic. We've actually got some merch with us as well. And we'll show you that momentarily after we head to the website. So just bear with me for one moment. Yeah, so what's new and exciting besides apparently the ability to forecast coronal mass ejections before they're out of the solar corona? Something I wasn't expecting to do. I didn't do it on purpose. I just realized that I was doing it in order to make the daily videos. So there you have it. I mean, I don't know what else I can tell you. It's one of these facts that make themselves evident when you immerse yourself in the data. So anyway, viewers, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. You can find our social media there on the homepage as well, behind that little arrow, and it may look different if you're viewing it on a different device. We've also got our smashamash.org presents the Sun series 1 through 9 on the homepage. We'll embed different videos at some point. It's not really a big priority at the moment. Anyway, if you click on smAsho merch, I've actually got some featured merch on right now. If you click on smAsho merch, you'll find our Redbubble page. And today's featured design is the Do Not Pole Vault the Caldera socks, since I'm wearing a set now. So if you check out that link right there, there's that design. And let me tell you, the print quality is insanely high. Fair warning, if you buy the socks, they will indeed not have a readable website. So you won't really be able to read youtube.com/smashamash or smashamash.com. But you can see the word pole vault. Let me just see if I can get this on camera. Yeah. I think is it identifiable? Anyway, it's printed all over the whole sock. It's pretty sweet. If you want a whole matching outfit of this, there are options, especially if you're a woman, especially if you're willing to dress like a woman. Don't let me misgender you. I apologize. And if you weren't aware, Smash staff and I are actually sherbet gendered. So we're hoping we're not getting oppressed as a result of our gender. Check out the floor pillow. This thing is gigantic. You can get it in 36 by 36 is the only size. I think it came in 2 sizes. 36 by 36. You got to provide your own fill. Seriously, folks, the print quality is ridiculous. I'm also wearing the Mensa hat right now. I mean Mensa. Mensa, make Earth not suck again. Another one of our designs, which looks like this. Excuse my gruff voice. I've been overdoing it on the microphone a little bit. I've been spending too much time sitting, folks. Too much time sitting. So let's just put some of that on the screen and put some of you, the viewer, on the screen. Once again, thanks everybody for leaving comments. Chase Stevenson says she's getting the Mensa hat. She would like to make Earth not suck again. I'm about to order another one myself. So thanks in advance for doing that. By the way, I can also vouch for the quality of the hat. You can see how small the website is. It is actually readable on my hat. So it's quite good. I'm just about to pick up a gray one in dark gray, just because the black one, when I do these videos, is kind of, is it keyed out? I think it's keyed out. Let me see. Yeah. So right now I've got space on the brain. That's part of the reason why we entitled the video what we did. So yeah, Mensa, make Earth not suck again. And thanks to all of you who have. And the point of the product is that the design is just awesome, and that it's up to you to make Earth not suck again. Don't expect a giant bureaucracy, corporation, or really anybody. What's going on with the year of incompetence? Has anybody else noticed that it's been like a total year of incompetence? I mean, as if last year wasn't incompetent enough. Did it get more incompetent this year than it was last year? Can anybody do their own jobs? So let me tell you this story. So, I guess I can't tell you. I don't want to violate I can't tell you the story because I'll violate my own HIPAA rights by giving you medical information that you're not due. So anyway, let's just say there's incompetence in practically every institution, and it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the levels of incompetence are currently at the highest they've ever been in our entire lives. I mean, I've seen a lot of incompetence throughout the years, a lot of incompetence, and I've even done incompetent things. I mean, who hasn't, right? But what is going on in the past year? It's enough to make you hide in the largest gravity well in the galaxy, the area around Sagittarius A star. It's a complete disaster. I mean, can anybody do their own job? I'm wondering. Seriously, at your employer or at your local whatever store, right? At your local hardware store, grocery store, online retailer, your bank, your learning institution. Have you noticed just insane levels of incompetence all of a sudden? Like everybody's completely forgotten everything they've ever known about all science, and they're just like ignoramuses now? What the hell is going on with that? Was everybody as ignorant about science last year as they were the year before? Was there some kind of a weird like brain virus that made people stupid? Or is it just that the dumbest people jumped up and down and said, look at me, I'm the problem? Is that like, seriously? I really want to know. I'm not just complaining. I'm asking a question. Somebody, please, please answer this question. Did the incompetence just occur last year? Or was it just like latently sitting there, preparing to like come out of the woodwork and rear its ugly head? Like what? It makes you feel like you've been immersed into a tunnel of doom. I mean, it's kind of sickening when you think of it, because it's like really, really out of control. And I've never seen anything like it. It's absolutely berserk, and it's a bit on the creepy side. I mean, the lab I work at is the creepiest employer that I've ever seen. And I worked at 2 places. Check out this story, right? I worked at 2 places in a row, which were full-time permanent positions. And guess what happened at both of those jobs? They outsourced the entire department out of state. One of those entities moved to our state and offered us a job at a horrifically lower wage and horrifically lower benefits level, which most people laughed at. One guy was given a ridiculous title, and he decided to take it because I think he wanted to be drunker at work. But in any case, it was because of incompetence, and that was back in 2012. I won't divulge the name of that entity at this moment, but I have no contractual reason not to. The next entity was less incompetent. Anyway, at both of these places, all the people who stayed until the closing date were offered severance packages. That's the way it works in the normal world, in the non-bizarro world. Other employers, they just circle the drain and they just let the whole operation go to shite. They let the whole operation go to shite. And there's something that I discovered. Smash staff and I were talking about this. If you have a management structure which is 50% plus one person incompetent, there's incentive to bring in more incompetent people into the management structure. Why? Well, the reason is because if you bring competent people into the management structure, they will call incompetent managers on their incompetent failure to do their own jobs, their failure to make Earth not suck again, or perhaps even their failure to make America not suck again. Look, another nonpartisan, non-political, and if you're so much of a political hack that you think that this is political, you're deranged. Saying make America not suck again, because practically everybody on both sides of the aisle, and you don't know what side of the aisle I'm on at all, do you? Try to guess. Try. Just, I dare you. Try to guess where I line up on any political issue. You ask, I'll answer. How about the Mansa miniskirt? Do you have a red, white, and blue themed outfit? Well, check out our Make America Not Suck Again miniskirt. It's just epic. So, so seriously, go ahead. I dare you. Try to figure out where I line up politically. Try. Just try. Just try. But more importantly, why don't you try to Mansa and make Earth not suck again? Mansa and Mensa. We did not name it after the organization of geniuses, Mensa. It was just because of the lettering. It's just a play on lettering. Anyway, welcome to the Neo-Renaissance. Here's a bit of a tour of the sites. Again, social media over there. Thanks to our new Twitter followers. Thanks to our 100th Twitch follower. If you click on the Smash Team icon there, it'll take you to a login page, which we'll actually show you here briefly. And give that a minute to load. Again, we are streaming live. I apologize for the delay. I would play elevator music for you at the moment, but all you have is my velvety voice. Oh my God, we must have a slow internet connection. All right, so this is the page that you'll see. And So this contains some of the links on the home page, and then you would have to put a login, which I will actually do while it is off screen, because we wouldn't want to divulge our password on a YouTube live stream. That might be unfortunate. All right, so again, if you've got any any of like political questions or anything like that, keep in mind this is classified as a science and technology stream. And we're just going to show you a brief little tidbit here of what is in the members section. So we've got 2 membership levels here, a lot less than we had on Patreon. We had like 7 membership levels, I think, at one point. And yeah, so here's what the Smash Team homepage looks like. And this is actually the posts page. So it's very similar to Patreon. It's just laid out completely differently. And we've got some stuff there only for gold Smash Team level type members. So that's a little tidbit. And again, this is some preliminary stuff here. This is before our official launch is even there. It's just that Smash staff is just so darn good at their job that it's already set up. So cheers. You can already join, and everything's floating. So it's just monthly memberships at $2.99 or $9.99 per month. Those are the silver and gold tiers. There's also a paid up option for $109.89 for a full year, and a free piece of merch in the form of either a hat similar to this one, but with the Smash Team based logo, or a shirt. There's 2 different shirts. There's a scoop neck shirt for women, which is a little different cut, shorter sleeves, and then there's there's a t-shirt also, like a unisex t-shirt. It's sherbet gender friendly. So yeah, that's what the homepage looks like with the posts. And again, everything's pretty similar to Patreon, although we also have all kinds of automated alerts and other features that nobody else gets to see. So we can't really show you too much of that. You can find links to that once again at smashamash.com, smashamash.org. There's also a bronze level for all you cheapskates who want to see just the bare minimum of our content. So, hey, feel free to check it out. There's a free level on Patreon, too. Some of our posts that go up are public posts. So, and thanks to our patrons, who are the true source of funding for these upgrades. And believe me, they are some serious upgrades. So yeah, once again, thank you for all your contributions. Thanks everybody who tunes in. We've got some just fascinating space weather stuff going on here at the same time we stream live. Once again, let's put up some imagery of an ongoing coronal mass ejection. We'll even head to the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center and look at some other good stuff. And we're not even going to have time to cover cosmology stories, honestly, because there's just too much going on. I have like 20 tabs open on my phone to get to, and it's just not going to happen because I was doing a little bit of prefacing for next Wednesday's smAsho kickoff. We're going to make it a smAshtember to mash member. Anyway, once again, there are your chats. Oops. So yeah, very, very busy this week. And that's part of the reason why my voice is shattered. Pardon my flinty tone. It's unintentional, I assure you. Son of Clay says more like a year of malevolence. In other words, evil, if you don't know what malevolence means. Benevolence means like intrinsic goodness. Malevolence means intrinsic evil. Zombies, yeah, exactly. I like the way we're developing a new language, according to Joe Rogan, in the form of emojis. I like this. I think it's progress. I like the idea of talking in emojis. We use them a lot. as we've got like this new modern hieroglyphics going on. And so I have the ones that I usually use all saved in my frequent emojis, like the ones I just put up on the live chat there. I think it's just great. And by the way, one of the many reasons Son of Clay, yeah, there's going to be email alerts as well as the posts directly to the site. And we're in the process of getting that all completed. We already have some of that done, but there are already posts with space weather alerts on the site. And again, there is a bronze, a silver, a gold, and a gold paid up 1 year membership. The $109.89 covers the full year. It's got a free month factored in for paying up a whole year in advance, and also a complimentary merch item in the form of a hat or a shirt with the Smash Team graphic that we showed, similar to the Smash Team graphic that we showed. It's exclusive. We haven't even showed anybody what it is. It's exclusive only for paid up members. Similar to Mug Club on Louder with Crowder, or to the Leftist Tears Tumblr, perhaps on Daily Wire. I'm sure there are many other channels on YouTube that have similar promotions. We figured it out, so we launched our own website. And it's not because we dislike Patreon or we had any problems or we got censored or anything like that. It's nothing like that. It's just simply because our own website has a lot more capabilities. It's prettier. It's going to be formatted exactly like we want it. It'll be more user-friendly for you, the viewer. And so that's the reasoning. And Smash staff has had some pretty sound reasoning in the past couple of days. So let's go to some other stuff here. We're going to head to the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center and show you some of the stuff that we do behind the scenes. So here's what you'll see when you, let's actually start from a blank slate. Here's what you see when you go to the page. I'm going to just press clear layout here. There we go. Excuse me. There's what you see when you go to the Space Weather Analysis Center. And we regularly show certain graphics on here. There's a lot of different stuff to take in if you're not familiar with it. There's a lot of work for you to do. First thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the intensity grams. So this is what we do all the time. We've got this blown up to like a weird size. It looks like the zoom is off. There we go. There's 100% zoom. And so Sunspot 2860. It's still quite complex. Still capable of major flares, and it could be doing a major flare as we speak. Let's take a look at the X-ray flux. We caught some X-ray flux. We caught some X-ray flux on one of our Twitch streams. And we've just been getting lucky. So this is a flare that we actually, a small flare that we actually streamed earlier. You can find that on our Twitch feed, as well as some streams that are like 16 hours long if you just want to play some active sun for a long, long time. So just a little B-class flare there. Nothing major. And so this is a great page too. Any of these Space Weather Prediction Center pages, anything that starts with SPWC has got all the links at the bottom. So this is always very nice. And what the heck was I going to show? There was something else I was going to show here. If anybody has anything that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments. We'll put it up on the screen for you while we're at the Space Weather Prediction Center. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, Son of Clay. I'm not sure that it's just an increasing stupidity. That's not what I see. I see some obvious age issues where certain age groups seem a little bit dumber than other ones, frankly. And keep in mind, folks, this is something I say all the time. It's not because I'm a misanthrope or anything like that, although I do have massive PTS. Keep in mind, folks, that half of the population is by nature below average intelligence because the term average literally means the mean or the median. And so half has to be of below average intelligence. That's just basic math. That's not insulting anybody. That's just basic math. So anyway, I don't think we've got any proton strikes. We haven't seen any major flares. Everything's pretty chill here. We should probably check out the real-time solar wind, yeah? What do you say? So we'll see what's been going on with the solar wind, see if there are any geomagnetic unrest or anything. Let's check that as well. Pardon my delay here. I'm looking for where they are. And I usually don't click on these because I have everything in my favorites. I spend zero time looking through these. So here we go. How about some geospace magnetosphere movies? Everything looking chill in the magnetosphere, and you can guess what the solar wind is like, especially if you're a regular viewer, just by looking at this imagery here. I mean, I would say we've still got a rather slow solar wind speed there. Rather slow and just moderately diffuse. I find it easier to search for it than to actually worry about looking for it on that other page. So there's our real-time solar wind. We usually show this in black. It's the same data. And currently, it tells you which is active, so currently discover. And there you can see under 400 kilometers per second for the solar wind velocity, solar wind density just under 6 protons per cubic centimeter. So no major, no geomagnetic storms or anything coming yet. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard is calling for geomagnetic unrest sometime soon, actually. So we can put that on the screen here. I think we shall. And let's see what their model looks like also. That'll be interesting. And again, just bear with me. Again, I'm now looking for things to click on. All right, so here's a Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. BTBZ pretty uneventful here. And I know what we'll show. We missed some data in this morning's daily space weather video. We're going to show the Gong 2 data. That's what I was remembering. There we go. So you can see some geomagnetic unrest forecasted here. There is also an expected coronal mass ejection strike. So one of these geomagnetic unrest periods, I believe, is the coronal mass ejection strike. I think it's probably going to be barely detectable. That has been sort of my forecast on that. Here's their Enlil prediction. So there you can see that small diffuse coronal mass ejection is apparently what is being forecasted for basically right now. We don't really see a signal there. There is a weak coronal hole wind stream regime. You can see the other CMEs are also modeled on here. This is looking fairly legit from where I sit. We may not even, in other words, we may not even see a signal in the solar wind from this because it is quite diffuse and not particularly fast. And we don't usually show the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, but there's the sunspot number progression. Slowly working our way up here, and I gotta say, sunspot 2860 grew impressively yesterday. So it went from barely a sunspot to quite large and largely in charge because it's a beta class sunspot, so it's a lot more likely to produce flares. And there's quite a bit of interaction going on between those umbrae. You can see they're actually spreading apart, which, believe it or not, increases the likelihood of a major flare. You can see some complexity building on the trailing umbra there. How about some high-res imagery of it? As the SDO site is back up, and it is gorgeous. I'm going to show you the high-res imagery in 171 angstroms and colorized magnetogram. And it looks kind of bad, to be honest. There's a colorized magnetogram alone, and you can see the clear South Pole umbra here. Very clearly defined South Pole umbra. And a bunch of North Pole umbrae trailing there. And we've got at least 3 of them. It looks a bit like a paw print. So that's pretty sweet if you're into additional space weather. And that's part of the reason why the coronal mass ejection is continuing, although not entirely. And we don't actually divulge how we forecast coronal mass ejections yet, not until we write the paper on it. And that's becoming more and more near to the current time. So yeah, thanks again everybody for leaving comments. Shari Lynn, we're not all going to die today. So, and that brings me to another point that I seem to be making all the time. 1, never blame a conspiracy on that which is more easily attributable to ignorance and stupidity. And 2, the biggest scam in the history of mankind has always been the end is near. The end is near. Buy my bunker. If you drink my snake oil, the end won't end you. You and your family will be fine if you listen to my nonsense, because the end is near. Oh, be afraid. Be very afraid, because when you're afraid and you believe in nothing, you're much more likely to believe in my nonsense. See where I'm going with this? Yeah. Don't allow somebody to convince you of nonsense because they sound confident. That's no excuse. You should be reading the science papers that people claim back up their nonsensical theories. If you're one of the channels I'm talking about, you know who you are. If you want to debate, I doubt you do. I doubt you do. Oh, you don't want to give us coverage. Oh, you think you're punishing us by not watching the videos. Oh, boo-hoo. I'm gonna get revenge on you by not watching your videos. I'm gonna prove that you're a hack because I read your titles and look at your thumbnail and I don't understand what you've said because I think denying you one pathetic view makes any difference to you. What a joke. For everybody who looks at the thumbnails and titles and doesn't watch the videos and think you're going to get a straight answer in the comments section, when you're a known person who tunes into the video for 10 seconds, writes a comment, gives us a thumbs down, and then absconds, you got to watch the video. If you see a title that you think is like not right, it irks me to no end when people leave comments and they don't watch the video. Why do you do this? It's inappropriate. It's inappropriate! So if you don't watch the video, don't comment out of context and assume that you know what I've said in the video, or you'll be considered a covidiot. Yes, a covidiot. Oh my God. Now, you see what I've done now? I spoke the word of the demon who shall kill thee. Oh, oh, no, not the COVID. Oh. Who remembers last year when our forum started covering COVID on January 23rd? Do you remember that? Remember that? It was covered for about 7 months, like 6.5 months. We updated the forum nearly every day, most days multiple times. There's a huge thread. It's the most read thread ever at smAshamash.com/forum. And we covered the stories, and we didn't just cover the stories. We talked about them on the daily videos, and I read them. And here's the most important part. We now host the articles on our own page in their original format. So for all the websites out there who scrubbed material about what it was you were saying last year, does anybody remember when a tiger in the Bronx Zoo came down with COVID? You remember that? When it became obvious that the animal pool was infectable and everybody realized for 5 seconds that their cat could catch COVID and that their dog is a little bit less susceptible to COVID than their cat? Who remembers that? Are you one of the morons who thought I didn't know a hell of a lot more about infectious diseases last year before anybody gave a damn about COVID? So to all you morons out there who did not know how to wash your scum-encrusted mitts, and you just finally learned last year how to wash your hands properly, and you think you're going to give me medical advice, I laugh in your face for about 1 second, and then I ignore you for the rest of the day because you're a COVIDiot. You might be an infectious disease doctor who knows more about me than COVID, but if you're just some random imbecile who knows less about every science subject imaginable than I do, and you think you're giving me some advice about what an mRNA vaccine is, or about what that is, or about what the best ways to... It's just absolutely ridiculous. And it's just another incompetent thing that's been going on for like 2 years now. So, ineffective and pathetic attempts to cope with that. And are you kidding me, COVID? I mean, seriously. COVID, I almost feel sorry for you. If I had some sad violin-y music, I would just play it right now. COVID, I almost feel sorry for you because people think that you're the enemy. They think that you're the enemy, COVID, and that is just sad. That is a sad and unfortunate thing. They think that a virus is their enemy. Do you know how many viruses everybody is exposed to all the time? Now look, I'm not a medical doctor, and I'm not suggesting that I am. I'm also not giving you any medical advice of any kind. This isn't only not medical misinformation. This isn't medical information, period. This is me telling you about my expertise. When I quit smoking, right about when I dropped out of college because it was nonsense, when I quit smoking, I used to get strep throat every spring. That caused me to quit smoking. That also caused me to do my own research on infectious diseases. By 1999, I became a pro cyclist. And here I am today. That's why I haven't seen any medical interventions of any kind since the year 2012. I've gone over 9 years without, just about 9 years, a little under 9 years, 8.87 years with 0 doctor visits, 0 medical interventions, period. And it's not because I'm anti-doctors or anything like that. There's a whole list of reasons, which I won't get into in this video. But seriously, if you think you are going to school me on COVID, please stop, because it's embarrassing. It's almost as embarrassing as trying to school me on atmospheric physics. I mean, it's pathetic. The goalpost moving that we see now, it's like, are your friends and family also incompetent? Have they come out of the woodwork and been like, look at what a problem I am. Look, I'm a huge liability, not an asset. You're welcome. Is that going on in your life too? Can you relate? All right, COVID, I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Huh. I coughed on it, and it popped like a balloon. Anyway. So let me tell you a little bit more about my personal story. Wasn't scared of COVID last January. Wasn't scared of COVID in December when Fauci made it evident that he's a fraud. Am not afraid of COVID in August. And I won't be afraid of COVID in September. I'll be afraid of the pathetic human response, the pathetic, ineffective, ridiculous, nonsensical human response to COVID. But as far as the COVID, I give zero you-know-whats. I ran out of those sometime in the mid-90s. And then, when I got hit by a truck in 1999, that was the ultimate end. Yes, I got hit by a truck, folks. It's true. It was basically a head-on collision. I mean, the truck was at a bit of an angle, and it was maybe stopped, mostly stopped. But let's put up some enduring imagery here of the closest star. We're going to put up the 48-hour SDO video here. You can just, this is right on their data page. And that is some picturesque stuff going on there. All right. And thanks for leaving a comment, Pink Arvexic, for that comment. And I really like that one. You're our latest moderator. So congratulations to Pink Arvexic. We'll take a look at this. We don't mind that it's not space weather. We're going to end the stream soon here. And of course, there's a lot of stuff going on, but we have to do stuff like eat dinner. So yeah, yeah, we'll take a look at that in just a moment here. And Ricky, you may be interested to know what we have to say about cosmic rays after we write our paper about the solar polar field reversal cycles. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to make people think differently, very differently, about that particular phenomenon and a lot of other phenomena, because I've figured out what causes the solar polar field reversal cycles, and I'm going to have to write a paper on it. That's just the way it is. It's not going to be particularly long, but it's going to have citations, and it'll be interesting. Anyway, thanks everybody who's left comments. No Nothing Read a Lot says Johns Hopkins is so concerned about COVID that a cardiac tower was built so they can benefit from solar influence. All right, so I just want to say something about that real quick. The crumbling of another institution. This one isn't crumbling. It just never had credibility in the first place. And there is an institution who's charged with the world's health. You may know what it is. I won't name it. But this institution does not view tuberculosis as a current global threat to people's health, to which to have a plan. So tuberculosis, if you're familiar with that, it's the deadliest infectious disease in the world. And I'll just leave that right there. So let's take a look at some weather stuff here. And I'm going to actually head to... See, I don't usually use this browser. This isn't my space weather console. So you're seeing me type things. I use actually 3 browsers on this PC. I use Brave for the daily space weather videos. I use Opera for some other things. And I use Microsoft Edge for some still other things. And what are we looking at here? All right, so what the heck? What did I search for here? If you type for GOES Interactive Weather Satellite, pardon the typos, it was good enough that DuckDuckGo found it. All right, so your question is about these systems down here, I think you said. I'm going to put that chat back up on the screen here while I put up the water vapor map of the western portion. Well, I'll just say the Americas, right? The Americas. Let me just put your chat back up here. The question is, and that's some interesting facts about Baltimore. I don't dispute them, although I haven't verified them either. So, tracking a 99L current wave entering the Gulf of Mexico. Oh yeah, there's a low form in there, and there's some hot water there too. So we'll show that. We'll show that next. This definitely does have the potential to create some issues. We've got a very weak jet stream, so the jet stream is right now, it's way up here. And so convective forces can take control of this entire thing. This whole area down here south of the jet stream can just turn into one convective mess. And so we've got hot water, especially over the Western Gulf. So let's, again, behind the scenes stuff for you here, folks. nullschool.net is what we use for those Earth images. And this is just fantastic. You can track fires and stuff by looking at carbon monoxide. We're going to look at sea surface temperature anomaly. So it's actually cooled down a lot since we were looking at that wannabe Hurricane Charlie. So you can see it is a little bit anomalously warm here, especially by Louisiana. So that is going to be sort of your zone of most convection, at least most abnormal convection. And so that may draw the system toward that a little bit, making it turn a little bit north. And if the jet stream suddenly kinks up or something like that too, that can make a big effect on it. So let's take a look at the jet stream here the way we normally do. The 250, is it millibars? Nanopascal, hectopascals rather. You can see how far north the jet stream is. It's right about here. And you can see there's already convective forces messing around down here. This system, this air blowing right this way, that's not normal. So that is the jet stream scale winds. And yeah, that's looking like a serious system there. Does anybody know what the forecasts are for that? I would expect that to smash into Texas, maybe around the area around Louisiana there. It looks like it's going to smash into it. And let's tell you another spot where we sometimes go for weather stuff. It's Tropical Tidbits. A great website. We use it all the time. Forecast models. And actually, after the Hurricane Henry nonsense, he actually had a similar thing that we were saying. He was looking at the cold, warm water demarcation line south of Rhode Island. So that was that. Let's look at the forecast models here. We're going to select a different region. The Gulf. Southeast U.S. should be fine. And we're going to pick total accumulated precip. This is going to be the GFS forecast. We'll also show you windy.com. Total accumulated precip to show any flooding associated with this. It'll also give you an idea of the storm track at the moment. So there's the animation. And oh, it's going to take a while. But if it stays like it's going, it's going to strike exactly where I just said, Louisiana or East Texas. So there you go. Right around just west of that area of anomalously warm water. So for example, and the water might get warmer. I don't know. Let's check and see what the temperature anomaly is going to be like. And it's looking a little on the hot side. Extra warm right in that area too. So that could be fierce. That is bad news if that strikes Louisiana like that. We'll put that up on the screen big. That's kind of a distant forecast. That's all the way out 1 week from today. Let's hope that doesn't happen. There's a lot of chances for that to be wrong. So we definitely don't want to see 2 feet of rain for half of the state of Louisiana. There would be shrimp in a lot of people's houses for Forrest Gump to go catch, right? All right, so we got to close this thing out. My voice is shattered, and I'll put your chats up on the screen one more time here. We'll show a little bit additional weather data here since we sort of went into that. Actually, we're going to show some more space weather stuff here. So let's head back to the Integrated Space Weather Analysis Center. Whew, a little bit of dry mouth, folks. And let's head to one that we look at all the time, the stereo A coronagraph. And we're going to show a long animation of this, and then we're going to redo it. What the heck? That did not load right. There we go. Ah, yes. So this is going to show some coronal mass ejections, and for you new viewers out there, the Earth would be off in this direction from stereo A, located at Lagrange point 5, the equilibrium point that follows Earth, but sees space weather first. It also helps us to see when there's Earth-facing ejecta from the closest star. And that's pretty up-to-date there. So there could be an Earth-facing component to that. If it is, it's quite diffuse once again. Let's take a look at, see if we have the latest data here from SOHO LASCO C3. That's pretty up-to-date. We'll go back the same number of frames on this and hope there are the same number of frames available. Definitely not the same number of frames available. So keep in mind, again, once again, folks, most of the ejecta is on the opposite side here. Let's bring up the stereo A difference imagery. And we'll go back 100 frames in that and hope for the best. So there's the LASCO. And I don't really see much, if anything, above and below the disk. So here's stereo A. Let's shrink these down a little bit so they can both fit on the screen at once. I apologize for the jostling. This is the reason we usually don't do this for our space weather videos, so that they're just there. And that is a lot more frames. So quite a few coronal mass ejections there from the viewpoint of stereo A. Great difference imagery of those. A little bit of missing data. And this odd brightening, we actually showed this morning as well. It looks like it's certainly behind the obscuration disk. If I had to guess what that is, I would say it's damage to the disk, or that the spacecraft moved a little bit out of center. This area down here, I believe this is confirmed as disk damage. So they're not in the protection of anything like a magnetosphere out there, these spacecraft. They're way outside the magnetosphere, so sometimes they get messed up like stereo B. Keep in mind that's difference imagery, that's not the raw data. That's the data subtracted from the previous data. So yeah, and you can also see the way this forms into a bubble-like feature. Right here you can see a bunch of straight lines. See that? Straight lines right there. And then the next frame, there's some missing frames, but you can see it's sort of like, goes into this like bubble-like feature with a rounded shock front. We see that regularly with coronal mass ejections as they exit the sun's magnetosphere. And we'll just we'll close out in a moment here. First, we'll bring up the LASCO C2 as well. Let's bring up 100 frames of that, just to comprehensively show all the data. So a pretty spectacular series of days. And listen, the last time that we forecasted a coronal mass ejection, we went from a watch to a warning to a canceled warning. And then 1 to 2 days later, about 36 hours later, we saw a coronal mass ejection. So the only reason that we've even missed one coronal mass ejection warning was because I second-guessed myself and I canceled it because it looked like plasma collapsed. So the situation was right. We're going to have to write a paper on how to forecast coronal mass ejections as well, because it's become systematic, folks, and we don't do anything to try to calculate trajectory or velocity of these things yet. We're working on a system for that as well. It's sort of in the intellectual capital phase. So if you've got any ideas, feel free to drop me a line or whatever. There's a lot that goes into this, and there's a lot of people that are doing it for a lot of money, to protect a lot of money in the form of satellites and so forth. So yeah, it's a field I wasn't really intending to get into, but look at me now. Anyway, once again, we encourage you all to join the Smash team, smAshtember.com/SmashTeam. I won't put that back up on the screen. We're just going to close things out with some more solar imagery. Oh, and I promised more weather data also, so let's see. I'm going to show the NASA GOES water vapor, and let me just reiterate the fact that if you understand the physics, it's pretty easy to do weather forecasts. If you get the physics, folks, weather forecasting is beneath you. All right? And so it's not as complex as it may seem. Meteorologists don't want you to. Keep in mind, folks, meteorologists have to do a forecast for a listening or viewing area. So if you're not doing your weather forecast for a tiny place, just your little niche between two mountains or something like that, right? If you're not doing it for a very specific location, it's very difficult a lot of times to give accurate forecasts. So it's not necessarily that your meteorologist misforecasted your area. It's just that we can't have a person who understands atmospheric physics in every weather station. It's just not going to happen. Some people they're going to rely on models, and there's nothing you can do about it. So when the models are wrong, and sometimes there are miscalculations in the code. They're never wrong in terms of doing their math. The models are always right because you've got garbage in and garbage out. And I'm not suggesting the models are garbage. They're based on a lot of empirical data. So we'll just show the Americas here in water vapor, one of the most definitive maps that you can look at. And water vapor is great when your Doppler radar is not helping you out. I guess we'll leave it that size. That's pretty sweet. And we'll put your chats back up. I'm going to cue up some music here. Play one more Golden Cap Productions track for you at moderate volume. Light to moderate volume. Also, we're going to show less skin. We're going to scroll down your chats here. If you've got anything else to say that you want viewed on the screen, I would suggest you do it now. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Remember to join us next week. We're going to be doing an extended stream. Maybe it'll last all day. Maybe it'll be in multiple locations. Maybe we'll be broadcasting from the surface of the sun. You don't know. I might know. But if I do, I'm not telling you. So yeah, thanks again for leaving comments, everybody. Now, know nothing, read a lot. I like the cut of your jib. So you're our latest moderator. So congratulations. Once again, our latest moderator there. Know nothing, read a lot. I like it. Congratulations on your wrench. Please don't hit anybody with it. And yeah, I see that. I'm very concerned about incompetence in all institutions. All of them. Because you try to name one that a large percentage of the population has not lost faith in over the past, year? 2 years? I mean, look I can't even switch programs correctly. I'm failing at my job. All right. Again, it's a live stream, folks. So cheers. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Again, we're going to bring up some additional music here at the Smash News Network before I vanish. And we're going to play one more Golden Cap Productions track for you. This one is called Harvard Hoosier. And we'll see you next time. forgive, comma, remember, comma, hold accountable, period.